Hello everyone! Today I'm going to create a suitcase style box for storing travel memorabilia like seashells, maps and little keepsakes from our adventures. Of course, you could also use it to hold a mini album or a travel journal filled with your travel memories. I'll be working with brand new Seize the Day Graphic 45 collection. I have 8x8 collection pack and ephemera set from this gorgeous line. In addition, I'll be using yellow cardstock and chipboard. I've already pre-cut the pieces. I'll need to build the suitcase base. I'm planning to use faux leather in this beautiful fuchsia color that match the Seize the Days collection perfectly. I've also made some resin embellishments in advance. I'll be painting and decorating them to add extra charm to the suitcase. Of course, I need some metal findings, things like locks, buckles, brads, anything to give this box a realistic suitcase look. And I might be forgetting something right now, but I'll mention it along the way if I use anything else. And also I need acetate sheet for the shaker. And I forgot to mention I also be using some black cardstock. I'm using leftover strips from previous project, just like these. They're perfect for connecting the chipboard pieces together and making the structure sturdy and durable. Let's take a look at the pieces we'll use to build the suitcase. As I mentioned earlier, I'm using cardstock as the base for these elements. By the way, this cardstock comes from watercolor pads. It's thick baking sheet that holds all the watercolor papers together. I'll never throw it away. It's perfect for projects like this. For our suitcase, we'll need two main panels, both measuring 8¼ by 6¼ inches. From one of the panels, I cut out window with 1 inch border all around. I also rounded the corners of this frame. I did it by hand using a coin as a guide and simply tracing around it. But you can definitely keep the corners sharp if you prefer just simple 90-degree angles. Also, we need piece 2. It's 8⅛ by 6⅛ inches. I also cut two pieces 3. They are 8¼ by 2¼ inches. Two pieces 4. They are 8¼ by 1½ inches. Two pieces 5. They are 6⅛ by 4¼ inches. And two pieces 6. They are 6⅛ by 1½ of the inch. Alright, now that all the pieces are ready, it's time to start putting our suitcase together. We'll start with eco leather and the piece 1 with a window. Before we start assembling, there is one more thing I need to do. I cut a 6 by 8 yellow cardstock piece. I place it in the center of the piece 1. Okay, like this. Secure it. And lightly trace the window with a pencil. Okay. And now I need to cut out a similar window in the yellow piece, but this time I cut slightly outside the lines, so the opening is a bit larger than the one in the chipboard panel. Okay. Now we are going to glue piece 1 onto the eco-laser, leaving about 3/4 of an inch on all sides. Now I'm going back to the frame that I glued onto the eco-laser. I'm cutting out the center part and wrapping the laser around the inside edge of the window. This is what my frame looks like now. I also stitched around the inside edge with my sewing machine to give it a more finished look. On pieces 4 and 6, I draw a pencil line right down the center that is 3¼ of an inch from the edge. Now I'm preparing strips of black cardstock. I cut them to 1 inch wide and score them down the middle. I'm taking piece 4 and gluing black cardstock stripe to it, trimming the corners first. Oh, where's my scissors? Oh. Yeah. Okay. Then I'm attaching this piece to piece 1. I'm attaching the second piece 4 in the same way right here. Now I'm attaching 2 pieces 6 here and here. But first I'm placing them where they are supposed to go just to check the fit. If needed, I can slightly trim them before gluing. I'm reinforcing all 4 corners with black cardstock strips. And now I'm gluing the eco-laser to the outside of the suitcase. For that, I'm making small cuts here and here, and I'm gluing down the long side first. long sides, then the short sides, and trimming off the excess. Okay. Next, I've cut 4 strips of eco leather, each 1 inch wide, and I'm attaching them like this. Only the outside for now. And then I'll trim off the excess. I'm doing the same on all 4 sides. Now I need to decorate the side panels of this piece. I've already finished 2 of them. And here's how they look. Let's move on. I'll show you how I did it using the remaining 2 sides as an example. First, you need to cover this exposed cardstock corner. I'm gluing a small piece of eco leather right here. Then I've cut 2 pieces for each side. 1 piece from yellow cardstock and 1 piece from scrapbook paper sheet. Okay, for long side I've cut cardstock piece. It's 1.5 by 8 1/8 inches, and scrapbook paper piece it's 1 3/8 by 8. And for short side I've got cardstock piece. It's 1.5 by 6 1/8 piece, and scrapbook paper piece it's 1 3/8 by 6. Okay, now I'm gluing the scrapbook paper pieces onto the yellow cardstock pieces, leaving a small border around the edges, this way. Next, I'm stitching around the edges of the scrapbook paper piece. I've covered all the side panels on this piece with scrapbook paper. Now I want to decorate the corners the same way I did here. To do that, I'm using my die cutting machine to cut circles out of eco leather. They are 1.5 inch in diameter. And then using pre-made template, Where I've already marked the center, I mark the center of each circle. And then I make cut like this. Next, I'm attaching the cut circle to the corner this way. And trimming off the excess. You can leave it as is, or you can use something like wax to color the edge of the suitcase. It will give this will give it a more vintage edge look, and it will also help cover up the raw edge, right? I'm doing the same on the remaining two corners. Here is how the top of my suitcase looks right now. I want to add some brads to these corner overlays just for decoration. So I've made with a pencil where I want the hole to go. Then I'm using my tool to punch them. After that, I insert the brads. I repeat this 2 more times, so in total I'm using 3 brads per corner overlay. For our windows, I've prepared plastic piece. It's 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 inches, and I'm going to glue it here. And now I'm going to glue this yellow cardstock piece on the acetate here. Now we need to prepare our piece too. I trimmed it down just a little so that it fits in here more easily. Before I start working with it, I want to cover it completely with scrapbook paper. I'm choosing a background. This will be my deep sea theme, and I've picked this piece, this sheet, for the background. Now I'm simply covering this piece with it. Then I cut a strip from the yellow background, since this will be the ocean floor. This piece is 1 1/4 by 8 inches, and I score it at 3/4 from this edge. I'm gluing this piece along the bottom edge of piece 2 this way. Next, I've prepared 3 pieces that will help me later secure piece 2 inside the suitcase lid. I have two side pieces measuring 7/8 by 6 inches, both scored at 5/8 inches, this way. And also I have one top piece measuring 7/8 by 8 inches, also scored at 5/8 inches from the edge. I'm gluing them in place so that the fold where the score line is lines up exactly with the pencil line we drew earlier, just like this. Here. Here. And here. Okay. Now I can start decorating piece 2. Earlier I made some resin castings using silicone molds and painted them to match the colors of the collection. Now I'm arranging them on panel 2, making sure to leave 1¼ inch of space along the two sides, two edges and the top, because it's where the panel will be later be glued into the suitcase. Now I'm going to glue everything down using 3D gloss gel. I've prepared the back panel for my shaker. As you can see, besides the resin pieces, I also added these fun half spheres to represent the air bubbles that were originally illustrated. Now I'm going to attach this panel in place. Yeah. First, I'm applying glue just here to the bottom edge and attaching only this lower part. And also I need to prepare some sequins, toppings and other little elements that I'll put inside the shaker. Okay, now I'm applying glue to the remaining edges and fully attaching the panel in place. And here is the final result. This is how it turned out. And now I need to secure this panel from the back side using black cardstock strips, just like we did earlier. This way. I also want to cover these corners, so I'm cutting more circles out of Eco-Leather, just like before. Here's how it will look. I cut a small segment out of the circle to make it easier to fold around the corner. This way. However, I want to add two braids, one here and one here. And I want their legs to be hidden. So now I'm only gluing half of the circle in place right here. I've already marked the center and I'm aligning the pencil line with the edge of the lid as I attach it, just like this. And then I'm insert the two braids. After that, as I mentioned, I'll add the black cardstock strip and fold the leather around to finish the corner. So here is how the lid looks right now. I've done everything I mentioned earlier, and I also added one part of the lock in the center of the top panel of the lid. I had to peel back section of the Eco-Leather here because the legs weren't long enough to go through everything, so I removed a bit of Eco-Leather here and installed the lock piece. Then I pressed everything back into place. Now I'm decorating the inside of the lid. I've cut and prepared pieces for all the side panel using yellow cardstock and scrapbook paper. I glued them together. I won't give you the exact measurement because I adjusted everything based on how it fit in my specific project. Some parts ended up slightly larger or smaller than I originally planned. I measured each piece according to actual layout since the top panel of the shaker wasn't glued on perfectly straight and I had to make adjustments along the way. You can see I haven't done the stitching yet, but I'm planning to sew around the scrapbook paper edges just like I did before. And then I glued everything. That's here. And I glued everything in place. Okay. I'll be attach all the pieces except for the bottom panel now. Right now I want to focus a bit more how I'm decorating the large back wall of the lid, this one. I'm planning to create a large dimensional pocket here, and I've already prepared the following pieces. Yellow cardstock piece. It's 5 and 7/8 by 7 and 7/8. Scrapbook paper piece. It's 5 and 3/4 by 7 3/4. Another scrapbook paper piece. It's 4 by 7 3/4 inches. I've made a score line half of the inch from this edge, from the bottom edge. And also I prepared 2 more pieces from scrapbook paper, each measuring 2 by 3.5 inches, and I score them every half inch. So each one has 3 score lines. Okay. The pocket will close with a snap button. I also cut 2 small circles out of eco leather. This will reinforce the area where the snap button will be attached. And the strap that will hold the pocket closed will also be made from this same piece of eco leather. Let's start with this piece. I want to decorate it using 2 border strips, which I've cut from the scrapbook paper sheet. I'm gluing the borders. I'm gluing the borders to the top and bottom edges, near top and bottom edges, and trimming off the excess. Now I'm going to add stitching around the edges of these 2 pieces. However, on this one I'll place the bottom stitch right next to the score line, right here, not here. Now we need to install the snap button, and then we can move on to assembling the pocket. I'm finding the center and gluing down one of the eco leather circle, just like this. Here is my mark. Now I'm making a hole. And attaching the second circle on the other side, this way. Now we can go ahead and install the snap button. I'm gluing the yellow piece under the background panel like this. Okay, and now I'm going to glue one of these pieces here. Here. And second one, first we need to fold them this way. Okay, second one, I'm going to glue here at the opposite side. This way. Then I need to fold the sides of the pocket like this. I place this piece over the top to close everything and glue it down just like this. My pocket is ready and I've made a closure for it out of eco leather. I cut a piece measuring 1.5 by 5.25 inches, stitched around the edge and made a hole for the snap button. Now I'm going to glue this piece in place. My lid is almost completely finished. I've already glued the pocket in place and fully attached the corner covers on both sides. Now I'm taking eco leather piece. It's 1.5 by 5.25 inches and gluing it here. This piece will connect the lid and the suitcase base together. After that, I can glue down the decorative panel on this bottom wall and completely attach the remaining two corner covers. This way. Let's do it. That's it. I'm done with the lid and now I'm waiting for the second part of the suitcase to be ready so I can connect these two parts together. It's time to assemble the second part of our suitcase. For this I'm using pieces 1, 3 and 5. First, I'm attaching the two pieces 3 to piece 1 this way. And then I'm adding two pieces 5 here and here. Okay. After that, I will reinforce all the corners, both of the inside and outside, using my black cardstock strips. This is what the piece looks like now. Next, I want to cover the outer corners and edges To do that, I've cut strips of eco leather 1¼ inch wide and marked a center line with a pencil to help with positioning. Now I'm going to glue these stripes to cover this way. And I'm also covering this top edge right here with a strip of eco leather. The second part of the suitcase looks like this. Now, for the side panels, I've prepared a layered element using yellow cardstock and scrapbook paper. I glued the scrapbook paper onto the yellow cardstock, leaving a small border around the edges. And then I stitched around the perimeter of the scrapbook paper. For long side, the yellow cardstock piece is 2¼ by 8 1/8 inches. And scrapbook paper piece is 2¼ by 8 inches. Okay, for short sides, the yellow cardstock pieces are 2¼ by 6 1/8 piece, and the scrapbook paper piece is 2¼ by 6 inches. Okay, now I'm going to glue all of them into place. From the back panel, I cut yellow cardstock piece measuring 6⅛ by 8⅛ inches and scrapbook paper piece measuring 6 by 8 inches. I stitched around the edge of the scrapbook paper and glue it onto the cardstock. Then I attach the whole piece to the back panel of the suitcase. And also I decorate this back panel with this border with stamps, which I cut from paper sheet. Now I'm going to glue the yellow eco leather corner overlays in place, just like I did on the lid. This way. The second part of my suitcase now looks like this. I would like to add 2 straps. I have 2 buckles for them. like this. I want to make 2 straps that will wrap around the entire suitcase and hold both parts together. For that, I cut 4 strips using all the eco leather I had left. Each strip measures 7/8 by 13.5 inches. So instead of 2 long strips, I'll join them in pairs to get needed length. Two of the strips will be for buckles ends. And now I show you how it will look. I've already made a hole from 1.5 inch from the edge on one of them, and now I'm going to make the same hole on the second one with you. Okay. I've finished one, and now I'm going to stitch the second. Next, I'll pair the strips and glue them together this way. To form 2 full-length straps. And after that, I'll come back and show you how I'm going to attach them to the suitcase. At this stage, I want to attach 2 straps to my suitcase. One is almost ready to be installed. On the second one, I would like to show you how I did it. First, as you can see, I stitched around the edges. Now I want to secure these threads. I'll just tie them off and hide them. You can see there is a glued section here. I'm tucking all the threads tails right into that glued part. Next, I installed the buckle onto the strap. This part is very, very simple. Now I'm making holes to install an eyelet. It will serve both a decorative function and help secure the buckle better. Now I'm gluing the 2 parts of the strap together and adding 2 short stitches to secure everything better. Now I want to attach the straps to my suitcase. I marked 1.58 inches from the edge on both sides and drew pencil lines. Using these lines as a guide, I'm going to glue the strips in place. I've already figured out how I want to position them, so that's what I'm going to do now. Now I've evenly spaced 4 braids along the glued part of each straw, and I'm going to attach them now. Also, I want to add 1 braid at the top, half of the inch from the edge, and 2 braids at the bottom of each straps, also half of the inch from the edge of both sides. Okay, here and here. But before that, I will glue down this section of the strap. After that, I can go ahead and attach half of the corner reinforcements on the inside using this. Only half of this piece, and also I'm going to add 2 braids to each my corner cover. And then I can decorate the side panels with scrapbook paper. I've already prepared the pieces. They just need stitching. So for the side panels, I have yellow cardstock pieces measuring 2 1/8 by 5 7/8 inches, and scrapbook paper piece measuring 2 by 5 3/4 inches. This is how my second part of my suitcase looks right now, and it's time to attach it to the lid. First, I position the lid correctly as it will look when opened. And then I glue this piece of eco leather to the box this way. Now I'm gluing the prepared panel with cardstock and scrapbook paper onto this wall, onto this side, and finishing the corner covers on this side. Okay. Now I can mark the holes on the strap where I want it to close. In addition to the main one, I've marked I'll add a few more holes about and below it, about half an inch, above half an inch. Okay, this main hole is the most important one, and I'll do the same on the other strap. The holes are ready. I've also attached the second part of the clip at the top. The only thing left is the handle. It will go right here, so I can't finish this part of the suitcase just yet. This one. However, I can already glue the bottom panel here. I've cut a piece of yellow cardstock measuring 5 7/8 by 7 7/8 and piece of scrapbook paper. It's 5 3/4 by 8 3/4 inch, which I'll stitch around the edge, but I won't glue the scrapbook paper just yet. You can do it if you're ready. Why I'm waiting? Because I'm planning to add some little boxes, and I'll do that in the future video. So, if you're not planning to add anything else, feel free to go ahead and glue everything down now. Okay, wait. Yeah. And yeah. Okay. My handle parts have finally arrived. These are 2 pieces I needed. As you can see, I've already installed one of them. Now let's do the second one together. I cut a piece of eco leather. It's 3/4 by 2 inches. And I'm gluing it like this. Now I'm going to glue it, and then I will install it here. Okay. Now I need to prepare the handle. I've cut a piece of yellow cardstock measuring 3/4 by 5 inches and piece of eco leather. It's 1.5, a little bit, and 1.5 and by 6.5. Okay, now I'll show you what I want to make out of this and how it's going to come together. Our suitcase is ready. Now you can fill it with your most treasured memories. Photos, travel journal, travel books, little cards, memorabilia, and all the special keepsakes. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. And bye bye.